So, all throughout my life, I've been a pacer. When I'm nervous, I pace. When I try to talk to somebody and they talk over me, I'll try to talk to them a few times. I will try to talk to them like a human being and get them to listen to me. But no, everybody talks over me. Their words are more important. And it all depends on the situation and what they're up to. I get that. The problem is, at no point in time did people stop and actually listen. The people who could have made a difference, the people who should have made a difference, didn't even try to understand. Made zero effort at understanding. Now, Danica Garner, she claims that she's autistic. If she was autistic, she'd have known exactly how fucking evil the things that they did to me, herself included, really are. Now, the pacing that I do now is different than the way that I used to pace. I used to pace because I was thinking. I got a highly analytical mind. I was thinking about how to solve problems. That's what my brain does. There's got to be a way to change this. There has to be. And I watched a program once about pilots being ejected from the cockpit at supersonic speed. And although I'm against military action, I'm all for saving lives. So I designed an ejectable cockpit that'll self-right itself. That way you don't end up tumbling at 1,000 miles per hour. You want to be able to stabilize yourself so it doesn't knock you out. And you want to be able to fly your cockpit back down to the ground safely. So yeah, I seriously designed that. By the end of the show, I'd already figured it out. A lot of times I'll watch a show and I've got a pretty decent archive of stuff that I've learned how to build. And I'm looking at the show and it's talking about something that's pretty old, and I'm thinking to myself, I could upgrade it doing this, 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 and this. And as I go through the show, I'll notice that some of the greatest minds in history worked on some of these things, and they came up with the same solutions I did. The same solutions I did just from watching the show. I've done that with short TV segments where it's like 5 or 10 minutes, and by the end of it, I've figured out things that some of the world's greatest minds came up with. And I came up with them on my own. When I started pacing the way that I do now, that was over Jamie Curtis in Chapel, Nebraska. See, I asked her out, and she said yes, and she did a 180-degree turnaround immediately. I mean, she was snapping at me for everything. And I was trying to figure out what I had done wrong. Well, I know what I did wrong. I asked her out. And I tried backtracking out of that. And I didn't understand. I don't understand hints. That's an autistic thing. And I do apologize for that. I shouldn't have to, though. And I explained to Jamie multiple times, I'm sorry, Jamie, I don't get hints. You got to tell me outright. It's not that I'm stupid. It's that I don't know. So, she was doing a lot of really mean stuff. And I have emotions, too. She's allowed to cry. I'm not. And I would just pace, trying to figure out how to explain to her how much she was hurting me. Make up your mind, please. Stop doing this to me, And that's how I pace when I'm in a pretty fucked up situation. I'd lost a lot of friends over Jamie by that point. She was a player, She's playing me against Chris Stegeman and Hayden McCall and, what's that guy's name? Otska and Todd Rust. And, I was the only one smart enough to figure it out. I let Hayden McCall, he come to me one day. He started telling me, basically, Jamie was doing the same thing to Hayden she'd been doing to me. The difference is Hayden will have sex with her when she's drunk. But we sat on her front porch, and it was after a pretty messed up situation, and it involved Jamie flirting with some people just to try to make Hayden hurt. And Hayden, he ditched his girlfriend to go hang out with Jamie because he'd been in love with Jamie. He lost his virginity to Jamie back in high school, over at James Payton's house, oddly enough. But me and Hayden, we sat on the front porch, and I told him what was up. I told him, that's the same thing she's doing to me. Probably the same thing she's doing to Otska, because he hates everybody. It's all these guys hate each other for no reason. Well, it's not no reason. It's because they were getting played. To each guy, Jamie would say, I like you. I'm really comfortable around you, and I'm only, these other guys are only here because, I don't have it in me to ask them to leave, and I don't want you to. Like, okay. And she's saying this to all of these dudes. I'm gonna have to pause this and sneeze. So after that, I went to Boulder, Colorado to try to clear my head. I mean, she broke me good. She cured me of falling in love, that's for damn sure. And I used to joke that I probably fell in love with every girl who was ever nice to me. But in reality, it's just nice to be recognized. It's nice, especially when you're not the pretty dude and you're not the rich dude. It's nice for somebody to pay you attention like you're a human being instead of how most people treat the homeless. When I was up at Lana and Amanda's, I was doing a lot of pacing. I mean, they had everything that I needed right there, and I didn't have access to any of it because I couldn't have access to my Facebook and still keep the information on it safe. And I was on a Facebook ban, and I had it shut down so no more information, no more evidence would get destroyed. And Lana's fucking snapping at me every morning since the second night that I was there. And she is snapping over the stupidest shit. And that pacing thing, that's because at that point in time, I'm too afraid to even speak. I don't want to get snapped at anymore. I'm tired of trying to say what's going on, only for Lana to treat me like shit and basically tell me that it's not okay for me to be autistic. It's not okay for me to be overwhelmed. And then she's trying to compare her situation to mine, and I'm like, it's not the same situation, Lana. My disability is all taken away. It's all getting spent before I ever get it because of the courts. I don't have a daughter who's getting paid $11 an hour to live with me. I don't have immediate family there with me every day. I just don't have those things. And meanwhile, Lana's delegating what's going to be done. I'm like, instead of delegating and getting pissed off at me because I don't have the money to buy Brad's car, I mean, how much is it going to cost to buy his car and then get it insured and get it licensed and get the plates on it and all of that, when really I've got a vehicle in Colorado. I have to go to Colorado for court anyway. This vehicle is already licensed. It's already registered. The only thing I got to do is fix the fucking steering wheel. And she just kept bringing that up. You should get Brad's car. You should get Brad's car. You should get Brad's car. Meanwhile, they were all talking such an immense amount of shit about Brad while I'm up there. And I'm like, I've been here for fucking 3 weeks, and it's been nothing but gossip. Gossip and Game of Thrones and Dutch, the earthquake guy. At Shannon's, it was the same thing. I mean, if I tried to open my mouth, she would just talk over me and just keep on doing it. And the later in the night it was, the more drunk she was, and the more she wanted me to do things. But then she couldn't hold her attention for 5 minutes to let me do those things. I prepped the counter to start doing the tile like 4 or 5 different times, and each time she wanted to do crying and hold me and I need a hug thing like for hours on end. And I'm overwhelmed. I need to be able to make calls during the day. I couldn't do that at Candace's. I couldn't do that at Sally Treon's. I couldn't do that at Shannon Alvarado's. I couldn't do that at Lana and Amanda's. I couldn't do that really anywhere. I definitely couldn't do it at my dad's. He's like, you better not be making a video. Like, fuck, dude. My first week at my dad's, he probably yelled at me 30 times. And I'm trying to get him to stop and listen. I mean, he told me that he would listen to what I have to say. And not be judgmental. And he told me that he would look at the evidence with me. And he made zero effort. Zero. Then he's telling me every day that I'm not getting disability back because I'm not trying. And I'm like, dude, you need to go down there with me, okay? You need to go down there with me so that you know what's going on instead of treating me like shit over your assumptions, Dad. And he's telling me every morning to go call these people. And I'm fucking pacing like a motherfucker. I'm leaving the house and going for walks for miles on end just to get the fuck away from my dad. Like, holy shit, dude. And I get back there, you know, and he's like fucking wanting to berate me and bitch at me and treat me like shit. And I'm like, stop. You talk to me one-on-one, all right? Stop this bullshit where you're fucking hiding behind Diane. Because, see, here's the situation, at least 5 different times. He's treating me like shit. I'm wanting him to just stop and listen instead of fucking making fun of me doing the, you know, the Donald Trump thing. It's fucking condescending as shit. And I'm like, Dad, stop and listen, please. Diane, help me out on this. Diane, help me out on this. So then my dad decides he wants to start an argument with me. And he wants to be a complete fucking dick about it. I just want to go upstairs and pack up my shit and get the fuck out of his house by this point. But he's yelling at me to come back down the stairs. Screaming at me to come back down the stairs. So I start screaming at him back. And I'm not like screaming at the top of my lungs. I'm raising my voice just loud enough that he understands that I'm going to say what I have to say this time. And Diane, she screams at the top of her lungs. This isn't any good for my blood pressure. Then go away, Diane. All right? It's a power struggle because it's not one-on-one. It's a power struggle. It doesn't need to be a power struggle. One-on-one, people can come to an agreement and a compromise. That third fucking wheel destroys all of that. Natalie wanted to speak to me in Virginia. That's still on my flip phone. I still have my flip phone. There are probably 30 messages in there where she says exactly that. Her sister was the third wheel. Neither one of us wanted to get into a vehicle on my birthday when I was in Virginia. Not me, not Natalie. We were going to have a picnic somewhere close. The suggestion was her driveway. That's where me and Natalie wanted to go. Her parents, or her mom and her sister could stare at us out the window. They'd come sit on the porch. Hell, they could even come out and hang out if they wanted to. I just needed 5 minutes. I was in a fucked up situation. My support network was gone. And the people I cared about were being fucking pieces of shit and ganging up on me. People like Lana and Miss Jerry. Over one of their racist posts. Tyler is Jerry's son. And it was his racist post in specific about a soldier should punch Colin Kaepernick in the throat. Amy Valkyrie's a witness to it. And I got screenshots of all this shit. I continue to speak out because I was never allowed to defend myself to the media, defend myself in the courts, defend myself against this slander. And there are hundreds of people who know what was going on, who saw what was going on and did nothing. People like Shannon Alvarado, Dan Fabert, Katie Cahill, all people who saw these things happening, saw this harassment and these threats against a disabled American. And they did not make a police report. That is felonious in most states. And the fact that it is on the internet makes it felonious in all states. The FBI is supposed to be involved because this is internet harassment, internet threats. These people wanted to do things to me and then whine like mules when I did those things back. Oh no, he's a terrible person, see? You poke me with a stick and poke me with a stick. I'm backed into a corner and you're poking me with a stick. And then you want to whine like a mule when I poke you back. Meanwhile, it's 1 against hundreds. Because these people who pretended to be on my side wouldn't do anything anywhere except Facebook and internet groups. In real life, where it matters is the court of law and the police department. And every person who tried to make a police report about the things that they saw that were denied, those police did something that is felonious for them to do. Every person who tried to make a police report and was denied had their human rights violated, their constitutional rights violated. So, these people who claimed that they tried to make reports, people like Carmia and Aaron Cockerham and well, you guys know the list. You can go back through the videos. There's a pretty long list. All these people could have come forward, and all these people who were denied by the police, their constitutional rights being violated, they should have come forward, but because they didn't, I did. And I let people know that. Every one of them. I'll keep your name safe. I will. If you get that information to the police. If not, I'm going to tell the story. Sounds demonic when you speak and belch at the same time, doesn't it? So all these people whose names were exposed, they were exposed for a reason. It's because these people didn't keep their word. Repeatedly lying to me. But it's all right. It's fine for them to do that, isn't it? It's okay for them to do it, but not for me to do it back. Everything that I have been punished for is me reacting to being abused. I asked Maddie nicely to put a stop to it. I asked Natalie nicely to put a stop to it. I asked Alicia nicely to put a stop to it. I tried to be as tactful and nice as possible. I was nice when I approached the police about it. But as it continued, I stopped being nice because I was done being punished for things that I didn't do. When I asked JoJo for help, at first I was nice. But you know what? After 6 weeks of bullshit, I stopped being nice. I was like, hey, when the fuck in your busy schedule are you going to have time to keep your goddamn word? I typed that to Joanna Taylor in September or October, I believe, of 2017. More recently, I've typed that to a lot of people. I typed those exact words to Katie Cahill and Shannon Alvarado. And also Miss Peaches. I've typed that a lot. When in your busy schedule are you going to find the time to keep your word? 6 months down the road after it's all said and done? See, that's the thing that I was trying to explain with those shoes. When I was saying way back in January of last year, it's kind of like, I got diabetes, right? Let's say I have diabetes. I actually don't. They misdiagnosed me. But let's say I have diabetes and I need special shoes or they're going to amputate my feet in a month or less. So I basically have a couple of weeks to try to get these shoes to save my feet so I can walk places. So I'm asking my friends for help getting these shoes, and there's a time limit on it. And they ignore me and ignore me and ignore me and blow me off and blow me off and make me empty promises that they're going to bring me those shoes. But they never do, so my feet get amputated. And 6 months down the road, one of these people wants to send you a pair of shoes, the pair of shoes that you needed so that you wouldn't get your feet amputated. And they send you these shoes, and they're pissed off that you won't wear them and send them a picture. Are you fucking kidding me? I needed you people to come forward so that I didn't have to do the things that I did to defend myself and my loved ones. If you had come forward, Shannon Alvarado, if you had made a police report, all right, you kept telling me I could do it online. No, you need to do it. You don't have the mentally ill tag. You saw it. You already knew that they would not take a report from me. Multiple people needed to get involved. Thousands of people were involved in doing those things and trying to destroy my Facebook. And I couldn't get 5 people to write police reports. Isn't that fucking crazy? But Shannon Alvarado not making that police report is a felony. Katie Cahill not making those police reports is a felony. Because I am considered mentally ill. Imagine that. I have lived the last year and a half off of the kindness of others because all of my money was being taken because I was falsely accused and never allowed a day in court. And they just kept on extending it until those time limits were over. My public pretender had 30 days to get a bunch of the evidence from Clearview, and she didn't do her job. So that's my cancer there. That's my diabetes, shall we say. They just cut off my right foot by doing that. And that's the thing, is that they just kept on doing it. Transfer me to another county so I can't make a report. Tell me I have to go in person to make a report, and I go in person and they escort me out of the building to prevent me from making a report. Threaten to arrest me for trying to make a report. That's pretty fucked up, isn't it? No, this is not marijuana. It's a cigarette that I poured all the tobacco out of. All of this moving around is fucking unhealthy for anybody, autistic or not. It's difficult. A move is difficult. Moving back in with somebody who's got a history of abusing you, that's fucking difficult. And moving in with strangers is difficult. Having to do it so many times is a pain in the ass. Sally Creon can tell you how good I was at her house. Tabby can tell you how wonderful I was at her house. Miss Peaches can tell you how wonderful I was at her house. I'm a great fucking house guest. The problem was the loudness. I mean, these people, Dan Faber wanted to say, well, you know, people scream everywhere. You're looking for an environment without screaming. Good luck. People scream everywhere. Yes, they do, but not to that quantity. At Sally Creon's, it's like 7 adults all screaming at once. There's at least one of them screaming at all times until they all pass out. So I can't really sleep during the day because everybody's screaming, and I can't sleep at night because I didn't get anything done during the day because everybody was screaming, and I need to get this shit done. And that pacing thing, I did it everywhere. I mean, I needed somebody to actually stop and listen. Now, Brian Townsend listened quite a bit, but he was preoccupied with his own worries. He's also got heart issues. Most of these people aren't bad people. They just made bad decisions because they made their decisions based on assumptions and the one side that was allowed to be shown. Shannon Alvarado should have come forward about Kara Johnson, aka Kara Miles. Dan Fabert should have come forward about Layla Dunan Johnson, whatever the fuck her name is. Katie Cahill should have come forward about Sarah Victoria Thunderberg. And should have come forward about Adam Klein. And should have come forward about Jennifer Farina Bollinger. And should have come forward about these people threatening and slandering my name in those groups. The things that they did, the cruelty that they did. Now, don't get me wrong, I have all of my screenshots, all of the conversation between me and Katie Cahill that verifies all of that. And I've also got multiple conversations with her right here on this very YouTube that verify that I was exactly doing what it is that I said I was doing. And that she had already said that she would do the things that she never ended up doing. And she wants to be angry and have me remove it within just a couple hours. And wants to pretend like she was justified in not keeping her word because a couple of days. She's like, it's been a couple of days. I'm like, no, it hasn't been a couple of days. It's been damn near a year. Katie Cahill, look back through our conversations and see when it is that you said you would do these things. If you'd have done those things when you said you would, I would have had a leg to stand on in court. And I keep telling you guys, I have to have somebody go in with me. You guys keep telling me to do things, making no fucking reparations or understandings for the fact that the term mentally ill means that they can blow me off. Unless you go in with me. All of the money that I spent, all of the moves that I made were to collect evidence and to get someone to go in with me in person. But without that happening, I was subject to being victimized repeatedly by people with a history of victimizing me. It's pretty fucked up. There's a reason that I wanted to see Miss Jerry, not Miss Lana. Even though Jerry was the one who was being a complete and total bitch on Tyler's post a year earlier while I was in Virginia. You're goddamn right I'm going to speak out, and I'm not going to feel ashamed for it. I pace for a reason. It's because I have something to say, and the people who should listen won't. The judges should have heard what I had to say. The police should have listened to what I had to say. The public pretenders should have listened to what I had to say. It's their job. Lisette Brown, when I finally was able to get a autistic advocate, she never did her job. And it wasn't the lady that Evan Daka and Karamia and all of them wanted to pretend was my advocate, Jaylyn, because Jaylyn was not going to be my advocate. She had already let me know that. Well, I need to explain this thing to these people, but they're all texting me, and I'm like, please stop texting me, please. I cannot handle 6 people texting me at once. Please stop. I've been through a harrowing ordeal by that point with the police harassing me nonstop for days straight, the public harassing me, people that I care about going to blows with each other over me, and not just going to blows. I mean, there was a lot of them that didn't get actually physically violent. There was a lot of arguments where people were screaming at each other, where 2 people that I care about dearly are yelling at each other in front of me, threatening to beat the fuck out of each other over whether or not I killed Natalie. Also, Alicia Bollinger went down there to the band shell, screaming and shouting about what a terrible person I am and about how I killed her fucking sister. Fuck you, Alicia, and fuck your mother too. I did everything that you are taught to do when you are bullied. Go to the source. If that doesn't work, you go to the authorities, be it the police or your parents. If that doesn't work, you go to your friends. I did all 3 of those. And all of them fucking blew me off. And then Natalie was killed, and they're like, oh, I don't want to have nothing to do with it. Fuck you. Fuck you, Pierre. Fuck you. Fuck you, Maddie. Fuck you, Alicia. Fuck you, Danica. Fuck you. Seriously, fuck you. You could have been adults about it at any point in time. Instead of sending people to hurt me and then pretending I'm a child because after a fucking year that I'm fucking overwhelmed and screaming at the top of my lungs for help. Kill me or hear me. Listen to me. People are doing bad shit to me. Or kill me so I don't have to go through it anymore. I'm begging my loved ones for help because they're the ones I can't see over this. And they're treating me like shit or blowing me off too. Joanna Taylor was the closest to anybody who was even willing to help, and she just wasted my time and went out of her way not to understand how damaging fucking texting is. I tried to talk to these people in person, just like David Prowell wanted to do over Betsy's case. He wanted to talk in person. But he lives in Boulder, and I couldn't go to Boulder without being fucking assaulted by people like Derek Apodaca and random fucking strangers. Fuck you, Candace. You're the worst friend I ever had.